For thousands of years, humans looked to the sky to figure out where they were and where they were going. Stars, the sun, the moon, and even shadows became tools for survival and exploration. But there was a moment in history when all of that changed, when navigation stopped depending on the heavens and started depending on something invisible, something buried deep within the earth itself. And it all began with a simple, magnetized spoon resting on a smooth bronze plate. This is the surprising story of the Chinese compass, the invention that quietly mapped the world centuries before satellites, GPS, or digital navigation ever existed. Long before the concept of north and south became part of global navigation, ancient Chinese scholars discovered a peculiar stone called lodestone. They found that no matter how they placed it, the stone would always settle in the same direction. Imagine picking up a rock and realizing it has a preference for pointing towards the north. This was a discovery so strange, so mysterious, that early Chinese philosophers believed it held cosmic significance. They didn't see it as a tool for travel. Instead, they viewed it as a gateway into understanding the balance of the universe. This was the beginning of magnetism as a form of knowledge. Instead of crafting the first compass as a scientific instrument, the Chinese shaped lodestone into a smooth, curved spoon. Placing it on a polished bronze plate, the spoon would spin freely until its handle pointed south. This device was known as the Sinan, and what's fascinating is that it wasn't created for sailing the oceans or guiding explorers through unknown lands. It was used for Feng Shui, architecture, and aligning buildings with spiritual and earthly forces. The compass was originally a tool of harmony rather than navigation. Its purpose was to help people live in alignment with the natural energies of the earth. Long before inventions were expected to solve practical problems, but science has a way of expanding beyond its original purpose. As centuries passed, Chinese inventors and scholars started understanding the properties of magnetism more deeply. They realized that this strange stone wasn't bound to spiritual rituals alone. It could be shaped, refined, and transformed into an instrument that told you where you were going, even when there were no stars to guide you. The spoon eventually evolved into a slender magnetized needle. Instead of resting on bronze, it floated in water or was suspended using silk threads. Suddenly, China had an instrument that worked anywhere, in any weather, in daylight or darkness. It changed navigation forever. Before the compass, sailors had to rely on stars, coastlines, and guesswork. When storms blocked the sky or fog rolled across the sea, voyages became dangerous, unpredictable, and sometimes fatal. But with a magnetized needle floating on water, always pointing toward the same direction, Chinese sailors gained a significant advantage. They could travel farther into unfamiliar waters with confidence. They could map regions that had never been recorded. They could cross seas that once felt impossible to navigate. The compass transformed maritime travel from a gamble into a strategy, paving the way for more sophisticated shipping routes and ocean charts. It wasn't long before word of this invention spread beyond China. Through trade routes, wars, and exchanges between different cultures, the compass made its way to the Islamic world and then to Europe. By the 11th and 12th centuries, European sailors were using a version of the compass that would guide some of the most influential voyages in history. Without the compass, explorers like Vasco da Gama, Christopher Columbus, and countless others would have never been able to attempt their ambitious journeys across the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. The age of exploration, the era that connected continents and shaped the modern world economy, simply could not have happened without this magnetic tool that originated in ancient China. The impact of the compass was far greater than just helping ships stay on course. It revolutionized mapmaking. Suddenly, Maps became more accurate because explorers could track directions consistently rather than depending on inconsistent celestial markers. Trade routes expanded, connecting cultures that had once been isolated. Goods, ideas, languages, religions, and technologies began to move across oceans, reshaping societies on every continent. The compass didn't just point north, it pointed humanity toward global connection. It turned oceans from obstacles into pathways. But the story doesn't stop with wooden ships and parchment maps. The compass did more than revolutionize old-world navigation. It laid the foundation for the modern navigation systems we use today. Think about the GPS on your phone. You open a map, type in a destination, and a little blue dot shows you exactly where you are. You may not realize it, but that dot depends on the same fundamental idea discovered thousands of years ago. The Earth is a giant magnet, and its magnetic field can guide us. Today, your smartphone uses a digital magnetometer, a sensor that works almost exactly like a miniature compass needle. When you turn your phone, that sensor knows which direction you're facing, because it detects Earth's magnetic field, just like the Sinan spoon did long ago. Add satellites, signal triangulation, geomagnetic data, and advanced accelerometers, and you get modern navigation, faster, more accurate, and more global than anything the ancient inventors could have imagined. But at its core, GPS still relies on the idea that orientation can be measured using invisible forces in the Earth. The same principle that guided ancient Chinese architects in aligning their buildings is now guiding airplanes, ships, cars, and even autonomous drones around the world. It's remarkable to think that every time you ask your phone for directions, you're tapping into a system built on a foundation laid by people who lived thousands of years ago. The compass wasn't just a tool, it was a breakthrough in human understanding. It told us that the Earth itself contains a guide, a natural direction, a constant. It allowed us to explore without fear, to cross boundaries, and to expand our idea of what was possible. It gave humanity the courage to look beyond the horizon. The Chinese compass didn't just change navigation. It changed civilization. It linked science with philosophy, practicality with imagination, and the physical world with the invisible forces that shape it. It opened continents, connected cultures, and transformed the unknown into the discoverable. And even now, in an age of satellites orbiting above us, we're still following the same magnetic whispers that ancient scholars first noticed in a simple piece of lodestone. So the next time you check your GPS, remember this. Before high-tech maps, before digital grids, before smartphones could guide you turn by turn through any city on Earth, there was a spoon, spinning slowly on a bronze plate, quietly pointing humanity toward the future. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient innovation, make sure to hit that like button so more people can discover stories like this. And if you love learning how forgotten inventions shaped our modern world, subscribe and turn on notifications. We have more mind-blowing history coming your way. Drop a comment below and tell me, which ancient invention should we explore next? Your idea might become the next episode. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering the genius of the ancient world.